this final piece is just pitfalls to avoid when you're at this kind of scale. And the first one is one that I already mentioned, but that's just not expanding your team. We talked a lot about expansion. We talked a lot about more creatives, more angles, more products, more countries. This is a lot of work. And at the end of the day, to scale to these kinds of levels, it requires a lot of input and it requires a lot of work. It means you're going to need more help. And that's why recruiting and finding A+ talent to join your business and join your brand is crucial in order for you to reach these levels. But with that said, one thing that I also want you guys to think about, and this is something that we've started doing across our teams as well, is really try to AI enable your team. And like I just talked about with the editors, we're going to be able to get more out of our editors by AI enabling them and showing them how to use AI the right way and showing them how to generate scripts and create copy that is actually good. And not only are we expanding the output from our current team, we're also focused on bringing on more people in order to help us accomplish this goal. But my point is, to build a big business, you usually need some big players with you. And so that's something that I really want you to consider before you tell your team to just expand like crazy and start doing a lot more work. The second thing on here is to make sure that you have your back end dialed in. This is likely going to be something that breaks for everybody, but you got to do your best to try to stay on top of it. You really need to know your numbers. You need to have a serious eye on supply chain. You need to know what's going on with your inventory. You need to have clear terms. You need to be doing a lot of product quality and a lot of product QA, because what happens is as you scale, a lot of the times quality of the product can go down, and you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you can to keep the back end stable, because if your back end starts to fall apart, marketing will just kind of implode on itself, and you a lot of the times will end up having to scale down your marketing, which is something that you don't want to do, especially when you have momentum. And so make sure that you're paying serious attention to your back end, and you go to trips to meet your suppliers or see your factories and make sure everything is dialed in. Again, this is not something that I personally handle. This is something more that Shaun handles when it comes to helping these brands and evolve. But it is such a crucial thing, especially as you get to more scale, because at the end of the day, you're not selling air here. You're not selling a software. You're not selling videos. What you're selling is a real physical product, and you need to make sure that that quality stays high. And then the final thing is just knowing your numbers and having your finance really dialed in. If you're at this kind of scale and you don't have someone like watching your numbers like a hawk, or you don't have someone that knows exactly what's going on, essentially forecasting, or you're not tracking all of the numbers, or you're not projecting payroll, or you're not keeping an eye on any of the finance side of things, you can very quickly run into money troubles and honestly run into a ton of problems. You wouldn't believe how many people, even at this kind of scale, doing $1 million or $2 million a month, don't actually realize how much money they're actually making, because they're not considering all these other costs or all these other small percentages. And when you're doing 5 or 10 million a month, 2 to 3% is a massive percent of money coming through that you might think is profit, but is actually not. And so at the end of the day, make sure you know your numbers. That's a massive pitfall that I see so many brands trying to scale super hard fall in. And I want to make sure that you actually have someone focused on that, and you're doing reviews, whether it's monthly or for some people weekly, to make sure you know exactly what is going on in your business from a number standpoint.